Xbox On. Welcome to Xbox On, a podcast with one host about one console, Xbox. I'm said host Jesse DeRosa, and on today's episode, we'll be talking about the latest Xbox news for the week of January 29th, 2026, including Xbox could be planning another developer direct this year. According to rumors, Xbox Studios head Craig Duncan provides an update on State of Decay 3 and more. Could the next Xbox seriously be getting delayed? All this and more coming up. In this week in Xbox history, in the year 2014, 12 years ago, Dragon Ball Z Battle of Z was released for the Xbox 360. Don't ask me anything about this game. I don't know this game. I don't remember this game. The name for this game is just so silly, and the cover art is a red-headed Goku looking at a dog, hairless cat creature. I assume that is their romantic partner. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not a Dragon Ball fan, but the way I understand it is this was kind of the dark era of Dragon Ball Z video games, so I'm assuming this is a game that probably wasn't very well liked. It looks like it was released for Xbox 360, PS3, and Vita in 2014, which is kind of weird. I mean, this was like 2 months after Xbox One and PS4 came out, so not too weird, but weird, and the game looks weird. Yep, that's all I gotta say about that. All right, guys, welcome to Xbox On, episode 347. I'm excited to be here with you after we saw Fable last week. The dust has settled. We have a pretty good indication of what that game is going to look like now. It's cool. It's exciting. Finally, there's an Xbox game that's been looming in the background, shrouded in mystery for all these years, and we finally have an idea of what that game is. You know, when other games like it, like Perfect Dark, have been canceled, and Everwild's been canceled, and Scalebound's been canceled, and this has been canceled, and that's been canceled, and whatever happened to Contraband. And then, of course, State of Decay and things like this are indefinitely delayed, it feels like. It's just cool to see a game like Fable actually come to fruition to some extent. So, very exciting stuff. We'll talk more about Fable this week. But before we do, I want to kick it off with games releasing this week of note, because Highguard is officially out as of 2 days ago from when this came out, 3 days ago, something like that. Guys, Highguard, for those who don't know, is that new game from a new developer. They're called, hang on a second, I forgot the name. California-based Wildlight Entertainment. It's a team made by a bunch of former Respawn guys, so people that worked on Apex Legends and Titanfall, people that worked on Call of Duty back in the day. So it's a bunch of ex-developers from these teams coming together, making this new game. I don't really understand exactly what Highguard is. I know it's a free-to-play game. I know it's a shooter game. It looks like a hero shooter. It looks a lot like, from what I've seen with like clips online and stuff throughout the week, it looks kind of like Overwatch, but I don't know if it's more like Overwatch, if it's more like something all on its own, if it's more like, I don't know, fucking, what's another shooter? Destiny? I don't know. I don't know what this game's like, but I know that it seems to be apparently doing quite well in terms of having a strong launch with player base, because it was reported on SteamDB, which is, it's not reported on SteamDB. SteamDB is a database where you can find Steam numbers, that the game managed, like, it was something like almost 100,000 concurrent players on its launch day, which is pretty freaking strong, especially for a game that was announced a few weeks ago, and it was too much, dismay of audiences at large. So it's pretty solid. However, the game currently has over 13,000 negative reviews on Steam. Reception is pretty mixed to negative on this game, but who knows? I don't know if it'll be good or not. I'll be honest. It's free to play, all that stuff. And even though people that worked on Call of Duty and Apex Legends and Titanfall and video games that I love, I have zero interest or desire to give this game a try. So not to say I'll never play it, but I don't think anytime soon it will be a game I'll even check out. But it is available as of this week on Xbox Series S and X as well as PC. So there you go. It's also available on PlayStation. Who could forget? That's an Xbox as well. But Highguard. I don't mean to be so negative, but I do wonder if this game will make it. Because it's just such a competitive scene. It doesn't seem like people are really there for it right now. In fact, I'm actually going to look something up because I'm quite curious. What are the current player concurrence? Like, what's its current player base? I'm recording this on a Wednesday night. How many people are in it right now? According to SteamDB, right now there's about 12,000 people playing it. In the past 24 hours, it had a peak of about 20,000 players. and its all-time peak was 2 days ago on launch at around 100,000 players. So not great for a brand new free-to-play shooter game to only have around 11, 12,000 on a weekday night. You expect, of course, this weekend player counts will go up dramatically during weekend. But, if this game's not going to get back, I don't know. I feel like a healthy game for like a free-to-play game that's based on like microtransactions and things like that, usually want to be around like, I don't know, at least like 50,000 concurrents or something like that. But they classify it as a PvP raid shooter, but also SteamDB labels it as a hero shooter. I don't fucking know, but in any case, it's out now. We'll see. I wonder, where will this game be in a year? Will it exist in a year or two? Who knows? I definitely don't see this game persisting beyond, if 2 years at most. I feel like this is the kind of game where you're going to see Highguard shutting its servers down, announced at some point in the next 2 years, but hopefully the game will find its audience. I don't wish for any game to do bad, but it just doesn't. It's kind of a weird game. It just seems like it kind of came and went. People had not much enthusiasm for it. It didn't really stand a chance, and I don't know. That kind of sucks because I'm sure the game is fine, but saying that it was made by former developers of Titanfall and Call of Duty didn't really seem to do a whole lot for this game. So maybe rethink that strategy of resting on name association and things like that, brand association for finding success. I don't know. Anyway, guys, let's move on. So we have a lot of news to get to this week. And so we'll just kind of jump in and go one by one. I struggled a little bit this week with organizing the news in terms of like what we talk about first and what's the most important story. So I don't really know that I agree with the order I have everything in here, but nonetheless, we'll start out here. It's generally a decent order based on most important to least important or most relevant to least relevant stories, perhaps. But anyway, I want to talk about this one first. So there's a rumor coming from the Xbox 2 podcast, the Windows Central podcast that Jez Corden hosts, where apparently the rumor is that Xbox might be considering another developer direct for this year. Usually we only get them in January every year, but apparently to celebrate the 25th anniversary of Xbox, they might be considering doing another direct to support the latter half of the year. Coming sometime later in this year, we'd get that direct, and then it would talk about games coming out later in the year. So Jez Corden on the Xbox 2 podcast did say, I have heard that they're exploring doing another one this year. Don't be surprised if we do get another developer direct this year at some point. I don't know when. I heard specifically developer direct is what they're exploring for this year, but we'll see what happens. So nothing definitive. It's just there are rumors and murmurings and behind the scenes chatter about possibly doing another one of these things. But as of now, as far as we know, nothing is confirmed. So don't assume for this to be happening, but that would be an interesting choice. And I don't think it's a bad idea. I mean, you can have your summer showcase, but then I'd say definitely don't go to Gamescom or Summer Game Fest if you're going to do that. So do your summer showcase like you always do. But then what I would do is, if you're going to do another developer direct, make sure it is very focused around the 25th anniversary of Xbox and nothing else. So have Halo there, have Gears of War there, talk about some like surprise thing or remaster or hardware initiative that is relevant to Xbox's history and the legacy of the brand, and then kind of make a developer direct around that. So that it all feels tailor-made to this 25th anniversary. I think that's a really fun and cool idea, great way to celebrate Xbox's 25th anniversary, especially considering there's not a whole lot to celebrate in a year where everything on Xbox is no longer an Xbox exclusive. There's no more really Xbox to love anymore since they're killing the brand. So it would be cool to see them kind of have some kind of win to make Xbox diehard fans feel like there's some acknowledgement, there's some homage, there's some respect paid to the 25 years of Xbox we've had. But anyway, so there's that. I'll be really excited to see if that comes to fruition. I think it will forgive a lot of the whole, like, where the hell was Gears, where the hell was Halo during the developer direct last week, if this does come to fruition, I think. All right, next up, speaking of Xbox games and where are they? So Games Radar did this interview with Craig Duncan, the head of Xbox Studios, and Pure Xbox and VGC and all them transcribed a lot of these interview snippets. So we'll start with this one from Pure Xbox that was transcribed from the Games Radar interview, saying that it's been a long time since we last heard anything about the upcoming first-party Xbox game, State of Decay 3. But the head of Xbox Game Studios was actually questioned about this in an interview this week with Games Radar when asked about whether we'll see more of the State of Decay 3 in 2026. Xbox Game Studio boss Craig Duncan advised that he couldn't really talk about it, but offered a tease of his interactions with the game and the development team in recent months, where he said, quote, "I think the PR in this room would murder me if I give you any answers to that question, so here's what I'll say. I've done a number of visits to the studio in the last 6 to 8 months. I have sat and played the game with the team a bunch of times. It's coming together really well. I'm very excited. We're very excited about the franchise and its potential. So we'll certainly see a lot more in the coming year." Is that a good answer to your question? Laughter. Now, I think it's kind of a given. This game has to be at the Summer Showcase this year, and I think it is the Summer Showcase where we see this next, because you think about it, it's like everything else has either been canceled or released at this point. You know, there's no Everwild, there's no Perfect Dark. We just got a deep dive on Fable. All eyes are on State of Decay. Isn't that kind of crazy, guys? Like, aside from, like, you know, we know about this Halo remake, which isn't a Halo sequel, so it's less of a big deal. We know about Gears E-Day, which is the next other big game. But Fable is imminent if you're talking about like games coming this year, and it's the only like massive game left on Xbox's plate. So it really kind of puts a lot of eyes and pressure on State of Decay, because it's the longest running in development game that we know of at Xbox that hasn't been canceled, we're still assumedly getting. And so that puts a lot of pressure, I think, to make this a game that is shown and discussed this year, if you really are going to double down on it and stand behind it and put it out at some point. So I think this has to be the year we see State of Decay 3 full gameplay reveal, extensive details, and a release window at the very least, which I assume will be next year. But, you know, you show the gameplay this year, you put a 2027 release window on it, and then you show it at the Xbox Developer Direct in January 2027 for, you know, like a summer fall release. I think that's kind of the way to do it. But at this point, dude, anything's possible. I mean, this game's in development hell, it seems. But I'm glad it exists, according to Craig Duncan, but not that you can trust an Xbox executive, because they always say things just to say things. But it sounds like he said you'll see it this year. So that's all I'll take that. All right, guys, the next thing I want to talk about, and this is kind of like, that one's like an appetizer. This one's like a hypothetical entree. Because really this is a PlayStation story, but I think it has massive implications for Xbox. And that is that so David Gibson, a senior analyst at MST, which is a financial analyst reporting firm, basically posted a report on Sony, and he's talking about like Sony's projected financials for the rest of the quarters of the fiscal year, and talks about release window accuracy and all these things. But basically the meat of what he says here that we care about is that he expects that Sony is going to extend the life cycle of the PlayStation 5 and therein delay the PlayStation 6's launch out of the 2027 window into maybe a 2029, 2030 type of deal. So PlayStation 6 is something that, if this speculation and these predictions are to be believed, along with what a lot of other people are speculating and assuming based on just RAM prices and chip shortages and inflation and just the lack of output on these modern consoles, I think a lot of people are expecting a delay that, yeah, we all thought it'd be around 2027 that we start to see new hardware from these teams. But it seems like there's a lot of rumor and suggesting and prediction that suggests that a PlayStation 6 could be a 2029, 2030 type of console instead of a 2027 type of deal. And with that said, it got me wondering, how do we think Xbox responds to this? We know Xbox is not really trying to compete with Sony anymore, and that whatever the next piece of Xbox hardware is, it is kind of just some experimental device designed to kind of appease longtime Xbox hardware fans and say, here's your bone, now leave us the fuck alone, you know? So I wonder if Xbox sees this kind of thing and says, you know, this is a good excuse for us to delay our hardware as well, because the RAM prices, the chip shortages, everything, the inflation, the buyer habits and everything are going to be affecting Xbox, whether PlayStation has their next console this year, next year, the year after that, or the year after that. It's all the same. So I think Xbox would be wise to want to push back a little bit. But then at the same time, I worry that the longer Xbox delays a successor to the Xbox Series X, the more the opportunity grows and widens for Satya Nadella and Microsoft to pull the plug on Xbox hardware altogether, and then that next gen Xbox device becomes this whole what could have been Xbox's last hurrah, the thing they teased and talked about but we never actually got. So I could kind of actually see that being a possibility as well, and it makes me a little nervous. So on the one hand, I'm like, I kind of want them to announce and release this next generation of Xbox, because the sooner they announce it and the sooner they release it, the more assured I feel that we'll get at least one more generation of Xbox. But on the flip side of that, as someone who loves his Series X, loves his Series S, doesn't feel any need to upgrade anytime soon, because my Series S and X games load fast on it. The hardware is great. The controller is great. The games look and run great. I'm happy with what that console does and what we're getting out of it. As someone who feels that way, I don't necessarily want another gen of Xbox right now, because it feels unnecessary. I don't want to spend $1,000 or $1,500 on some boutique hybrid console PC just because Xbox felt the pressure to pull the trigger now instead of waiting a few years. Because let's be honest, I think most people agree with this sentiment. It's kind of become a unanimous sentiment among gamers on the internet, among hardcore gamers, which is that, yes, Xbox Series and PS5 will be 6 years old this year, and historically console generations go between 6 and 8 years. You look at like the Xbox was 4 years, the Xbox 360 was 8 years, the Xbox One was 7 years. So it's usually around that. Typically, there are console generations like like the Wii U or the original Xbox that go for 4 years or something like that. But most console generations go about 6 years roughly, sometimes a little less, and then generally upwards of 7-8 years, like a PS3, Xbox 360 kind of thing. So even though we're getting there, we're getting to that point where it's like, okay, Series X has been around for almost 6 years, and this November will be 6 years, and usually that's when you start to get the murmurings and the chatter and the teases of the next gen, and maybe in the next year or so we'll start to see it, and then we'll get it 6 months after that. Even though that is the traditional trend, I just think there's so little reason to do it, because what we have now is so great, and the need to move forward and upgrade soon is just not there. When the Xbox 360 was reaching its like end of life around the 2012, 2013, the point in time, like the Xbox 360 was like screaming for death. Like if your Xbox 360 didn't get taken out by the red rings of death, it was praying to God it would get its own red rings, because that thing was like ready to go. But the Xbox Series, I feel like the Xbox One, it was like, it's a good time to move on. Like it's not 100% needed right now, but like it's a good time to move on. I think we're ready. But right now, like if you ask me, like, are you ready to upgrade from your Series S? I'm like, no, dude, I've played like one game. I played like Halo. That's like the only game we've gotten for. Like, we're good. Bring us some more games. So it's a weird feeling, and the time has gone by so fast. I mean, I don't know what it is, if it's just being an adult this console generation, not a school child, or the pandemic, or what it is, but it just feels like this console generation has just gone by in the blink of an eye. And I don't know, but I would hope that if PlayStation is seriously considering trying to get another year or two out of the PS5 generation before moving on, that Xbox would do the same. But I also hope that extra time of R&D and of waiting, of giving yourself time to doubt and consider alternate options and factors, I hope that doesn't end up being the death of a potential Xbox Series X successor. So I don't know. It's a double-edged sword, but let me know what you guys think about that. I'd be curious to know. All right. Moving on, continue with PlayStation, but making it more Xbox centric this time. Continuing with that Games Radar interview, we'll come back to this a couple times throughout the show. Craig Duncan does talk about how he said Microsoft is going to be able to they're going to try to be more consistent with their PlayStation 5 release strategy going forward. So basically, Xbox games have been coming to PlayStation the past few years. In some cases, games that come day and date on Xbox and PlayStation. And in some cases, games are staggered. So a game like Gears of War Reloaded or The Outer Worlds 2, these games came to Xbox and PlayStation same day. But then you got like Forza Horizon 6 and Fable, where it's like Forza Horizon 6 is coming later this year to PlayStation after the Xbox version, but Fable is going to be day and date. So in that interview, Games Radar asks about this, And basically what Craig Duncan says, and here's the quote: "There's always development realities about these projects and when they start, like how big a team is, what the plans we have to start development." He said, like you said, when a strategy changes, maybe you've got a plan that exists with a game that maybe you can adopt that. Maybe you can't. So here's why. So that's why. To be clear, this is a totally fair feedback. Sometimes we are inconsistent. You see games in one place, some games in multiple places. Just know that we're going to work on that, and that we're going to try and be more consistent with what we do. For game makers, if you're on Team Fable, you just want as many people who love Fable to appreciate the great work that the team's doing. That's what our goal is. It's rarely more complicated than that. It's like, how can we get this game to as many players as we can? When asked about the ideal scenario for its PlayStation 5 timing going forward, Duncan stopped for a short minute and then confirmed it's Xbox's intention to release all games on day one like they do with PC. He said, "My number one job is to help our teams be successful. If I think about my role, some of the optionality about what we do and what we approach, you used the word port before, and not to sort of pick up on that word specifically, but whenever our games show up, we want them to show up and be the best that they can be on that platform. So we want to take advantage of whatever features and nuances that platform has. So you may lead to a bit of optionality, which is to say that if we're only in a position to release games on one platform and not have to show up really well, I think we wouldn't do that. I think we would have a conversation internally and go, hey, unless we can do this really well and do this right by those players, then that's when you get into conversations of, well, maybe we can ship it afterwards. The executive continued and wraps up by saying, because teams are only a set size, we only have a certain amount of ultimately time. It comes down to resources, and nothing is limitless. So we just have to do our best with each job, by each platform and for each game. So in other words, sometimes we'll maintain optionality. Some games will see PC first, others might go to console first. Grounded 2 is a really good example of this, which launched in Game Pass, Steam, and PC initially. So yeah, it won't always be the same. So what they're basically saying is kind of what I speculated, what we talked about last week on the show, which is like, if we can get the games day one on all platforms, yes, we will. If it doesn't make sense to do so, no. You look at something like Fable, and it's like Fable has been delayed and in development and been worked on for so many years. At a certain point, it made sense to start, building a PS5 SKU of the game alongside the Xbox, because by the time they finally went from PC to really start putting this into like some kind of build for console, Xbox was already making the move over to PS5. However, with Forza, Forza had a different thing where they put Forza Horizon 5 on PS5 last year after being out on Xbox for years. And so now they probably feel this pressure to be like, well, we don't want to put Forza Horizon 6 out on PS5 so close to the release of Forza Horizon 5. So let's stagger it out. Plus maybe the guys at Playground weren't working on a PS5 version of Forza for Horizon 6 when these things started. So it's kind of like a project they had to add onto the to-do list throughout development, and it's slowed things down and forced them to kind of stagger it more. But generally speaking, they will try to have everything in one place all at the same time, with rare exceptions. So that's something they're aware of, and they're pretty vocally saying, yeah, we don't want to have timed exclusivity for Xbox, which honestly is just another fucking nail in the coffin for the hardcore Xbox fans. Again, if all you care about is the game being accessible to more people in more places, this is Xbox being the good guy again. But as far as Xbox trying to preserve a home console brand, this is just another definitive nail in that coffin. We have the head of Xbox Game Studios saying, oh yeah, if PlayStation 5 has a special feature that we can take advantage of, we want to take advantage of that. We want it to look and run better on PS5 Pro. We want it to have haptic feedback from the DualSense controller. Fuck the Xbox. You guys can get the shittier version, is basically what he's saying. So, I mean, they are really going all out, just saying, like, we are a multi-platform publisher. We do not favor the Xbox. I don't know why we make this piece of shit box. I don't know why anyone buys it. Go buy a PlayStation is basically how this reads. I know Xbox thinks they're being like this like, I don't know, this libertarian, like, free to players on all platforms. We show no favoritism or side with one only, liberty and justice for all. But really all they're doing is just, it's like if your mom, if your mom went to your kindergarten classroom, to volunteer one day, like that day when, in your kindergarten, like your parents like volunteer to come like read a story during story time to the class, or hand out cupcakes, or be the teacher's assistant for a day. I remember my mom used to volunteer for that stuff a lot when I was in like second grade and stuff. I have memories of that. It's like if your mom volunteered on one of those days at school, and you're like, oh, that's my mom. She's here at school today. She's going to show a little bit of extra love and extra favoritism towards me because I'm her child. And your mom goes, no, fuck you. I love all you kids equally. I love that random kid I've never met and that random kid I never met. And your mom's handing out cupcakes to all the boys and girls that aren't you. And your mom's reading story time to your whole classmates. And she's like your fucking classmates that you ride the school bus with. She's like kissing them and putting blankies on them and telling them it's that time. And you're like, Mom, what the fuck are you doing? She's like, don't worry. I still love you. Kinda. Even though I made you, I don't respect you as much as Jonathan, the kid that sits two desks down from you and shoots spitballs into your hair. It's like, okay, keep fellatiating Jonathan, but I'm your fucking kid over here. Why don't you show me a little TLC? You know, that's maybe poor choice of words, but you get the idea, right? It's just like, Xbox is so good at being open and direct and honest about these things, like saying things that's like, most brands don't talk this candidly about X or Y. So I wonder why Xbox is so hesitant to just admit we don't fucking care about our box, don't buy our fucking box, because they really say everything but that all the time and let that quiet part out. And I just wonder, at what point are they going to realize, like, you need to address the elephant in the room, which is that you guys are so busy trying to be fair and free for all the PC and PlayStation and Nintendo users out there that you're really neglecting the fuck out of, I don't know, the Xbox users. So whatever, but cool nonetheless that they're not trying to gatekeep these awesome games from PlayStation players. They're just trying to give Xbox players more reasons to feel like fucking dumbasses for their financial decision making. Okay, let's move on. All right, Xbox Studios boss talks GTA 6. So we're still with Craig Duncan. We're still in this game's radar interview. So this one is a write-up from PureXbox.com where it says 2026 is set to be a major year for Xbox game studios with multiple tentpole franchises receiving new releases over the next 12 months. And with studio boss Craig Duncan, he is hyper aware of how important it is to schedule these games correctly. In the Games Radar interview, Duncan admits that games like Keeper, Outer Worlds 2, and Ninja Gaiden 4, so close together in October last year, were perhaps a bit too hectic, releasing them all together, but they were intended to suit different audiences. Nevertheless, he's hoping to space out the new Xbox games in 2026 as much as possible. Well, that's weird because I'm the audience for all three of those games and I felt overwhelmed. Anyway, he says, quote, I think we ideally want to space things out and make sure games have their own, as we like to call it, oxygen in those moments. It's super busy. Our own release schedule is one thing, but then you have everything else's release schedule at the same time. So learning was like this. Let's not put stuff on top of our stuff, and I think we have done that. Let our games have a bit of oxygen, even though it's always busy and there's never really free time to launch something. Of course, the elephant in the room is Grand Theft Auto 6, which is not only releasing in the prime window for new games this year, but bang, it's in the middle of November, but it also appears to be releasing 4 days after the 25th anniversary of Xbox. So Duncan's obviously keeping an eye on whether Rockstar chooses to delay GTA 6 again or not, but insists that we are always, quote, on the other, that there are always other games that have to be considered when scheduling new titles along with other factors. He says, I mean, it's more than Rockstar games are going to do, and it's more that Rockstar games are going to do what they're going to do. My job is just to do what we should do, what's best for our games. So yeah, there's always other games, and there's always other things we have to consider. It's kind of a cop-out answer, if you ask me. It's kind of just a way of saying, like, oh, yeah, I mean, of course, Grand Theft Auto 6 is a big game, but, we also have to consider, like, releasing against, like, I don't know, like, the fucking, what's that fucking Square Enix game called? Triangle Strategy, Octopath Traveler. Oh, we don't want to release Halo too close to Octopath Traveler. It could really fuck up our sales. Oh, we don't want to release Halo too close to Sex and the City coming back to the big screen for 2 weekends only at Phantom Theater events and local AMCs. Oh, we don't want to release our fucking We don't want to release Gears of War too close to that new Kid Cudi album. Oh, it could be a competition. Bitch ass cop out answer, man. You know what he's fucking saying. You know what the question's asking. You know what the people are talking about. If you got a game like Call of Duty, you've got the bigger stick. If you got a game like Halo or Gears of War, you've got the bigger stick. There are few games that are a bigger stick than a new Fable, a new Halo, a new Forza, a new Call of Duty. So you have the big stick in about 8 out of 10 scenarios. A bigger stick than yours would be, I don't know, Grand Theft Auto 6. So answer the fucking question and stop skirting around it. The thing is, it's like, I feel like if you can just be open and candid all day like you are and say, fuck Xbox fans, we love PlayStation, then you could be open and candid and say, listen, man, Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be a cultural phenomenon, and we are very aware of that. We're very excited for it. We're excited that Xbox gamers will get to experience. This is how you be an Xbox boss, by the way. You defend your fucking platform. You say, we're excited for Xbox gamers to get their hands on Grand Theft Auto 6. We're excited for all the money we're going to fucking make because you lowlifes are going to buy fucking GTA bit bucks and then spend copious amounts of hours on GTA 6 online. They should be talking about that and say, yeah, we want to space our games out from this because a game like Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to make the Xbox ecosystem boom, and we want to give that game its oxygen to perform on our platform, and then we'll bolster the slower seasons with our other great games like Fable and Halo and Forza and Gears. But no, they don't talk candidly like that. They talk candidly like this. Fuck you, Xbox fans, go buy a PlayStation. So maybe they're a little nervous and they don't want to address GTA because they know you're going to get GTA 6 on your favorite Xbox, which is your PlayStation 5 Pro. I don't know. Listen, it's a fine answer. It's a PR answer. It's an acceptable, it's the kind of answer you expect to get. But you know, you're Xbox. You guys have no problem saying stupid things you shouldn't say. So why not say this? All right, there's that. And speaking of Grand Theft Auto 6, now this is an interesting one, and this will piss off a lot of people, but I think it's smart and it makes a lot of sense. All right, this is from VGC, who relay news from Polish website ppe.pl that says Take-Two and Rockstar may hold back the release of a GTA 6 physical version to avoid spoilers. So the website insider Groskzdari, I'm sorry, I can't with the European names, I'm sorry, previously correctly leaked information on things like the Oblivion Remaster physical copies, Switch 2 port of Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, and the PS5 port of Microsoft Flight Simulator. So good track record. And according to them, they say that ppe.pl, they say that it says physical game sales in Europe, Take-Two still has no plans for physical editions of GTA 6, at least at release. While it appears inevitable that the game will get a physical release at some point, the report claims that that it may appear on consoles digitally first, with physical versions following later, and this could be a few weeks after release or as far back as 2027, which is going to be like a month and a half after this game comes out. Quote, we're hearing more and more that the physical version of the game won't release simultaneously with the digital version to prevent leaking. We're getting conflicting reports. Some say physical version will arrive 3 to 4 weeks after the digital release, while others say it won't happen until early 2027. More information will be available in mid-February. Now, that's an interesting one because a 3 to 4 week delay for the physical edition wouldn't really stop spoilers that much, because stores tend to get their physical copies shipped in usually about like 2 weeks before the game comes out. So you're kind of playing it close there. But if you delay the physical version of the game by like 1 to 2 months, then you're giving yourself some cushion so that you can get that game out in physical, have it be out and available for a little while, and then put it to retailers so that people can play. And there's no incentive at that point to have the underpaid, underappreciated Walmart employee who happens to work in the electronics department and see in the back office a copy of GTA 6 a few weeks early. Oh, I took it home, stole it, brought it home, put it on Reddit. This is the game, spoiling the ending, whatever, getting a cease and desist from Take-Two. I don't know. So it's smart, man. It's really smart. It's a perfect way to handle this. And I think it's kind of like a win-win for them because it allows them to control the messaging while having the most minimal effect possible. Because I know those of you who like physical media are going to hate this, but the plain fucking truth of it all is majority of people don't want physical games anymore, don't buy physical games anymore. And this is the kind of game where you could sell it in a pile of dog shit. You could say you have to dig through 2.5 kilograms. That's not a whole lot of grams. You had to dig through 2.5 metric tons of dog shit in order to play Grand Theft Auto 6, and these fanboys would do it in a heartbeat. So if you tell them, oh, you got to buy the physical version if you want to be there day one, or the digital version rather, these people will be there day one. They'll buy it digitally, and then you know what they'll do? They'll bitch online for weeks and weeks, and then they'll buy a physical version too when that comes out if they want it so bad, because Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be a game that will dominate people's entire lives and personalities and identities, and they can get away with that whatever they want. And if you want to stop further leaks from happening, this is a great way to do it. I'm not saying I necessarily condone a continuation of this practice, but if this is something that Take-Two and Rockstar are looking at doing, I can't fault them for doing it, because it's a really good way. It's a really good way to control your messaging a little better, and we'll see. We'll see how this plays out. I'm sure the people online will have plenty of bullshit to say about this one. This is going to make people very upset. Not to say I relish in people's misery, but I don't know. I just love watching people explode over things that don't matter, like physical copies of Grand Theft Auto 6, while they remain completely silent about our authoritarian Gestapo police in Minnesota. Wait, what? Oh, sorry, I just had to drink some water. Because now we're going to talk about Fable. All right, this is pure Xbox. This is also IGN. IGN had a chat with Playground Games. Who is it? What is his title? Ralph Fulton. It doesn't give me a title. What is Ralph Fulton's title? He works at Rare. He works at Playground. What's his fucking title? Oh my god, internet, tell me. Let's look at this. Let's show some fucking respect. What's this man's title? There you go. Playground founder and general manager Ralph Fulton. You would think I would know his title. I sure as hell don't. Okay, so general manager and co-founder of Playground Games, Ralph Fulton, sat down with Ryan McCaffrey and folks at IGN for a little interview, and this is pure Xbox's little summarization of some of the hot moments from that interview. So it says, with this year's Fable reboot, the series is going truly open world with the backing of Forza Horizon specialist Playground Games. And the lead question, and that led to questions about the size of the world and how it compares to the genre, to other genres examples. In an interview, Playground's Ralph Fulton talks about just that and how it all compares to the studio's premier racing games. So he was asked about the big new world and how it compares to Forza Horizon, where he had this to say: I'm used to fielding that question from my time on the other game, and the comparison is useful actually because it probably won't surprise you to know that in terms of square miles, Fable is smaller than Forza Horizon. Horizon worlds are designed to be experienced at 250 miles an hour, so you cover a distance far faster in those games than you do in a game like Fable. In our game, you move at the speed of a horse at most. Fulton went on to add, we've had to build far more detail into it than we necessarily would have to for a Forza Horizon game before going on to tease just how much detail will be present in 2026's Fable, and giving us a fun little tidbit on the team's transition from open world racer to RPG. Quote, case in point, every building in the game you can go inside of. So every building needs an interior because you can rob it if you want it, or you can buy it and live in it with your family or with one of your families. So I guess the focus just got pulled right in. And we ended up building out so much more rich detail at a ground level. One of the first things we did as we got our Fable character running around in Surfer's Paradise from one of the first things we did was we got our Fable character running around in Surfer's Paradise from Forza Horizon 3. And it took an eternity to get anywhere. And I think that if we hadn't realized already that was the moment it dawned on us, like, okay, we're going to have to play with some of our metrics here. So yeah, I think this is kind of an obvious one, but an interesting one. I mean, these guys are used to making open world, beautiful, breathtaking games, but ones that are kind of aesthetically rich and detailed, but in terms of things, things to interact with and go inside and explore, a little surface level, because you're driving past buildings, you're driving on streets, you're driving through nature. You're not stopping into a building, exploring, talking to townsfolk, interacting with inanimate objects and moving things around and jumping on things and doing stuff. You're just driving in through environments. And so taking that and realizing you can still have an open world, but you had to scale it down to make it more fun to traverse and to have a world worth exploring. Because in Forza, the fun of exploring is driving through all the different terrains, whereas in Fable, the fun of exploring is interacting with new characters and exploring new locations and buildings and finding new quests and new items and new enemy varieties and things like that. And that is going to make for two very different open world experiences. So the fact that they know that and they address that very early on, I feel like is kind of an important one. It's just, I think the most important thing is here is just that they're doubling, tripling down on this idea that like Fable is going to be a very, very rich game in terms of its detail and its dense populated like places to go and things to see and do. The fact that you can actually go into every building that exists in this game is fucking phenomenal. I mean, I think one thing everyone experiences in gaming at some point is the disappointment of playing a game like a Grand Theft Auto and being like, oh my God, look how densely packed the city is. And then you realize, oh, I can't go in this building, but I can go in that one, but I can't go in that one, but I can go in that one, maybe not that one. And that's just a really next gen feeling idea that's like anything that we built you can interact with. If it's a house or a building or a shop or whatever, you can go inside and explore. So that's super cool and super exciting. All the little tidbits we get about this game give me a lot of confidence that the right people are at the helm. And so I still feel really good about Fable. It's weird to me that some people are getting kind of cold feet about it, which is shocking, but well, it's not surprising, but it's disappointing, I think is the way to put it. Anyway, let's move on. So Blizzard, which is apparently Xbox now, has announced a series of 4 presentations designed to reveal its future plans for its 4 biggest series. The Blizzard Showcase will consist of 4 separate streams spread out over the course of 2 weeks and will feature announcements for World of Warcraft, Overwatch, Hearthstone, and Diablo. Quote, as we look towards the future, the event celebrates the artists, makers, and visionaries behind our games and our players who bring them to life, so we celebrate 35 years of community and craft. Mark your calendars and catch each presentation live or view on demand once concluded. We can't wait to share with you what we've been working on, and BlizzCon 2026 is on the horizon. This is only the beginning, the publisher wrote on their official website. So World of Warcraft will have a stream called the State of Azeroth. It actually goes live the day this podcast goes live at noon, so 3 hours after this podcast goes live on January 29th. Then on February 4th, Overwatch will have an Overwatch Spotlight on Wednesday, February 4th at 1 p.m., and then Hearthstone on Monday, February 9th, will have the Hearthstone Spotlight on at 12:30 p.m. These are all Eastern time, by the way. And then Diablo will have a 30th anniversary Spotlight on Wednesday, February 11th at 5 p.m. So there you have it. Lots of news coming for future, for existing series and for the future of these current games that you love from Blizzard. So I'm not going to sit here and act like I give a shit about any of this, but it is worth noting, and they doubled down on like, hey, BlizzCon is happening this year. It's back. So I know it's a big deal for a lot of people, and exciting to mention. All right, guys, let's wrap up the news with a story that some news that I'm actually pretty excited about this year, but I come in and out of caring about this one every couple of years depending on the mood I'm in. So this year I just so happen to be interested. So from Pure Xbox, we've got a date and some new for the new MLB The Show game. Sony has revealed today this week that MLB The Show 2026 will officially release on Xbox Series S and X on March 17th, 2026. But there's no sign of a day one Xbox Game Pass launch. The MLB The Show 21 through 24, every game in the series was arriving on Game Pass at launch, but that stopped last year with MLB The Show 25. And it seems to be carrying through in 26. The official MLB The Show blog said the following. Starting March 17th, the standard edition of MLB The Show 26 will finally arrive on PS5, Xbox Series consoles, and Nintendo Switch. Switch, not Switch 2. We don't really know a whole lot about MLB The Show 26 right now either. The gameplay reveal will be next week on February 3rd, so all of the focus for the moment is on the cover star, Aaron Judge, who returns after also being the cover athlete in 2018. We'll be sure to keep an eye on the future of Xbox Game Pass as they confirm their confirmation for this one. And it also is worth noting that the Digital Deluxe Edition will offer early access for March 13th if you're eager to get playing as soon as possible. This year, they say, quote, MLB The Show is all about leaving your mark like never before. More than any other single game, it's a journey. It starts by putting in the hard work in high school and the continuous drive to be better than the day before and hunger for the Hall of Fame career. That drive was the top of mind throughout the development of this year's game, which is why Sony San Diego Studio and MLB The Show are proud to welcome back 3 times American League MVP Aaron Judge. Boo Yankees. All right, there's also an iOS and Android app that serves as a companion promised to be released around the launch of this game, but few details on that companion app are available at this time. Kind of interesting. I was a little disappointed about this, not because of the Game Pass thing, because I don't care. I don't have Game Pass like that anymore, and I don't care. But I was really expecting and hoping that this game would be on Nintendo Switch 2, because I was thinking, I usually buy an MLB The Show game every 5 to 10 years. I haven't played since 2021. So it would be cool to hop back in and play MLB The Show this year. I'm thinking about it because I'm just I'm in such a big baseball mood, dude. I've been on Game Time like every day, buying baseball tickets for spring training, buying baseball tickets for this season. Like one of the things I'm so grateful about, like living in Central Florida, is like I got so much fucking baseball. It's so amazing. I live like 25 minutes from the Detroit Tigers spring training field, and throughout the regular season, their single A affiliate team plays there, and they're such a fun team to watch, and so cheap to go to their games. Hour from Tampa, so when the Tampa Bay Rays finally relocate actually to Tampa, I'll be able to see the Rays more frequently. I'm only a few hours from where most of the spring training fields for the Grapefruit League are. So I got lots of baseball here, and this season, like I'm having like a real baseball season right now. Like last season I watched a ton of baseball. This season I thought I'd be like really into hockey, but like I'm kind of having like a lukewarm relationship with hockey right now. I'm still watching it, I'm following, but I'm not like super crazy about it. Bolts are having a great season. Good for them. I like you guys. I miss my Coyotes. But I'm just super excited for baseball to come back, and I feel like MLB The Show, yeah, it might be time. So I really wanted to play it on Switch 2. I was like, you know what? It'll look good. It'll play good on Switch 2. I like the idea of MLB being like a kind of game I can play on the couch, like laying in bed, on the couch, whatever, and just like fuck around in career mode. But I guess it's only coming to Switch 1, so it's going to look like hot garbage. So I guess I'm not getting this game on the Switch at all. I might get it on Xbox, because then I can, stream it to my Logitech G Cloud and then have it look good on my TV with my actual Xbox. So that might be the route, but I was kind of looking forward to playing this on the Switch. So I don't know, whatever. We'll see. But I'm just excited for some baseball. So this is kind of a good announcement at a good time. It's hitting me a little bit more than it usually does. And then I'll probably get this game, play it for a dozen hours, forget about it, and then I'll play another one of these in like 5 years. But you guys, that's going to do it for all of our news this week. It is time to get into the games I've been playing this week. But before I can tell you about what it is I've been playing, I want to first tell you about what it is I've been eating. You guys, I had a come to Jesus moment this past weekend. I tried a pastry dessert I have never had before. I got to admit to you. My girlfriend and I, we had to go to Orlando for some errands we were running. So we went like to the city, and while we were there, we stopped by, Saturday morning, it's early enough, get some coffee. We stopped by this Italian deli. We've talked about it on the show before in the past, but it's one of my favorite places in all of Orlando. It's called Stasio's. It's an Italian deli, and they have fucking amazing food. They have these amazing sandwiches, amazing coffee, amazing pastries, everything there is so fucking good. So we stopped by to get some cappuccinos, egg and cheese sandwich, go to the little Italian deli, you talk about, maybe we'll buy some truffle oil, look at the price of the truffle oil, go, nah, we're not getting truffle oil, that kind of thing, And I see in the dessert display case, they got like this thing, and it kind of looks like a croissant, and it's long, it's got like some kind of filling in it. And I'm like, that one's kind of green. Is that pistachio? I love pistachio. And so I just tell the lady at the counter, she's like, oh, you guys want to get something from the dessert case? I'm like, I don't know what that's called. Let me get one of those. And I point to it, and she goes, yeah, sure. Do you want regular whipped cream or pistachio? I'm like, give me the fucking pistachio. So I'm expecting nothing. I'm expecting it's either going to be stale or bland, or like most American desserts, overly sweetened. But I bit into this thing. This is the best pastry, either the best pastry I've ever had, or like the best pastry I can remember having any time in the last like 20 years of my life. Like it was phenomenal. And I thought my girlfriend was going to hate it, because she's usually really sensitive. She's not crazy about pistachios. She's not crazy about super creamy things or anything. She fucking loved it. So you bite into this thing. Let me tell you what it is. So we looked it up. It's called, the actual Italian name for it is sfogliatelle. Sfogliatelle, sfogliatelle. Another name for it that I guess a lot of like Italian Americans or like Northerners refer to it as is a lobster tail. It looks kind of like a croissant, but in the shape of a lobster tail. And it's similar to a croissant in that it's kind of flaky and crusty on the outside and then very soft and warm and flaky on the inside. But the crunch of the many layers, like buttered layers of dough, is like so crunchy and so crispy, and then so flaky, and then so soft, and then so buttery, and then the middle is so perfectly moist and warm. And then the middle is also stuffed with this light cream. It's light, it's not too sweet. It's a hint of pistachio flavor. It's not in your face. It's not like most American pastries where you eat it and like one bite in, you got diabetes. It's like it's a big ass pastry, but you can eat the whole thing and not feel like a fat ass, like that kind of thing. And I don't have anything to compare it to, but just the how well it was prepared, it had that feeling of like, this must be what an authentic lobster tail tastes like if you get one in Italy. There's no way that, this is like an Americanized version, because if it was an Americanized version, it would taste processed, frozen, reheated, overly sweetened. Something would be up here. But this thing was like the most delicate, flaky, buttery, just delicious, delightful, light, airy, incredible pastry I've ever had. Like, I got an amaretto latte that was phenomenal. I got an egg and cheese sandwich, which was good as always. I've had it many times before at Stacio's, but nothing could compare to this sfogliatelle or lobster tail or whatever the fuck you want to call it. It was so goddamn good that honestly this weekend I'm considering driving all the way up to downtown just to get another one of them, because Daddy needs another lobster tail. Anyway, that's it for what I've been eating, and hopefully I'll eat it again soon. It's so fucking good. The fact that my girlfriend is craving it and loved it is like saying a lot, because usually when it comes to us, I'm the pastry guy, I'm the chocolate guy, I'm the heavy sweets guy. She's usually more like gummy candies and weird shit like that. So we're not, she's like donuts and gummy candies. I'm like cookies and croissants and chocolate bars and stuff. So I don't know. Anyway, I fucking loved it. Can't get enough of it. Hope I get another one soon. So fucking good. If you have a way of making them, getting them, buying them, finding them somewhere, I don't know, if you're in the north, if you're in New Jersey or New York, you probably got them in your local bodega, because you guys always love to brag about your bodegas. I don't know, if you're in Italy for some reason listening to this podcast, God bless you, but maybe you have access to them. I don't fucking know. Maybe Australians have them. Who knows? But this is a fucking S tier dessert, or pastry rather. Anyway, it goes so good with the coffee. All right, that's it for what I've been eating. And let's move on to what I've been playing. So, kind of an off week for me after finishing up The Outer Worlds 2. So, actually, the game I've been playing the most is Battlefield 6. I've been hopping back into that. My girlfriend got me a new Xbox controller a couple weeks back, because the one I've been using on PC broke a long time ago. And then the one downstairs in the living room, where the Series X is, she has worn down the analog sticks and buttons to absolute mush from playing so much freaking Fortnite and Call of Duty on that thing. So she was like, I felt bad, so she surprised me with a new Xbox controller. It's very nice. She got me the new ones that came out recently, where there's like the blue, the purple one. It's like kind of like crystally, see-through, camo-y looking, and she got me the purple and blue one. It's really nice. I forget what it's called, but anyway. So I was like, fucking makes me want to go play Battlefield. So I've been playing a lot of Battlefield this weekend. I still love the fuck out of Battlefield. I have nothing to add to the conversation. There's nothing to say. It's like, I've been playing Battlefield since October. I'm still playing it. I still love it. What do you want me to say about it? However, there is another game I'm kind of playing. I just started the other night, and I'm a little bit of the way through it, but not too much to say about it because it's not super relevant to an Xbox podcast. But that game is Kirby and the Forgotten Land for the Nintendo Switch. When I got that Costco card a couple months back, for Black Friday, I bought a bunch of those Nintendo vouchers so I could get a bunch of Nintendo games at discount. And one of the games I picked up was Kirby and the Forgotten Land, because this was one of those games that came out in like 2022. And it was during that era of like, I'm not really interested in playing Nintendo right now. I'm kind of out of it. But when this game was announced, I saw it and I was like, this is like the Kirby game I always wished they'd make, but they never made. I want to play that, but I never played it because, I was just kind of like not in the mood for Xbox or Nintendo at that time. So when they announced that they were doing a Switch 2 version of this game, and when I kind of got back in Nintendo, I was like, this is like kind of a no-brainer game I'll get around to at some point, because I was interested in it even when it was announced. So that being said, I'm only, it's like a typical Kirby or Mario game or Donkey Kong game. There's like a bunch of levels and different worlds. I'm through world 1 of 7 so far, so completed the first handful of levels and boss encounter. And this game is My favorite Kirby, I'm not a crazy Kirby fan. I like that new Kirby Air Riders. My favorite Kirby game of all time is actually Kirby's Epic Yarn for the Nintendo Wii. That game is so cute and charming. The music, the art style, everything about it's a masterpiece. But I'm not a crazy Kirby fan. I've probably, of all the Kirby games out there, because there's a lot of Kirby games, I've probably played like, I don't know, 40% of them maybe, I played a decent amount of Kirby games, but not all of them. But that being said, this, from like just a pure game design and gameplay standpoint, is immediately one of the better Kirby games I've ever played. I love that they finally gave Kirby enough of a budget to have a proper 3D platformer game. Kind of like Kirby 64. What's that game called? Is Kirby 64 called Kirby 64? It's like Kirby Crystal something. Who gives a shit? But like way more like a real 3D game. So like you're collecting items and 3D levels, and the mechanics are so evolved and cute for a Kirby game. Like, yeah, you can suck up bad guys and take on their powers, but you can also upgrade those powers throughout levels so that they have new abilities. And then you can like suck up objects in the world and then like use them to traverse or to control things. Like, because this game takes place like Kirby in the real world instead of like Kirby in his little dreamland or on Planet Popstar or whatever, it's like you're riding around like this abandoned post-apocalyptic mall as Kirby, and there's like a vending machine on the wall that's like blocking you from getting into the next room. So you, as Kirby, you suck up an entire fucking vending machine, and then you like wiggle your way off the wall so the vending machine falls and breaks, and then you can go through the next door. It's like, what the fuck did you just do, Kirby? Or like there's this one enemy that like has this little gun thing, and you can suck them up and take their gun, and it's basically like Kirby with this very comic mischief light kitty looking gun type item that's ambiguously not a gun, but it's a gun. So that's ridiculous. And then you can like suck up a whole fucking car and drive around as a car. I sucked up a staircase so I could climb up a big incline. Like, just ridiculous shit you do in this game, and it's so funny and so cute and whimsical. And then on top of that, this music, the game has incredible music. The music is so good in this game. So I'm really enjoying, it's a Kirby game. It's overly easy. The general rule of thumb for Nintendo games is like, when it comes to platformers, Kirby games are super easy, Mario games are like medium difficulty, and Donkey Kong games are like hard difficulty. It's a Kirby game. I'm playing it on the hardest difficulty the game offers, and it's still painfully easy because Kirby. So don't expect anything too extreme. The exploration isn't that deep, the collecting isn't that deep, and the difficulty with enemies isn't that deep. The platform itself, not that deep, but it is very cute. It's very charming. It's very fun. I'm enjoying it so far. It's kind of my like 20 minutes before bed kind of game right now. But I suspect I'll just kind of blast through it this weekend and be done with it. Kind of a one and done game, but it's cute. I'm enjoying it. It's between that and Battlefield right now. So that's it for what I've been playing, you guys. With that said, I'm going to take a quick water break, come right back, and we'll round out with some I always say this. I want to say round out with some podcasts. What the fuck does that mean? We'll round out with some comments. All right, guys, you know how it works. Head on over to youtube.com/XboxOnPodcast. That's at XboxOnPodcast at youtube.com. Click on the latest episode, drop a comment, say whatever the hell you feel like saying, and I'll read it on the show. We got 5 comments this week, and they're all either about Ubisoft or Fable. So let's talk about Fable first. It's the more exciting thing, in my opinion. So no particular order. We start out with Mr. Dead Captain James, who says, RPGs are my favorite type of game, and I loved it when I saw Fable. It looks really promising, but we all know, even though it's releasing on everything, it will be underwhelming. It will still be underwhelming somehow to the internet. This is just going to be true. This is just undoubtedly going to be the case. We all know that as Xbox people. It's unfortunate too, because the game looks really, really, really good, and I'm pretty certain that's going to be, at the very least, a really good game. I'm sure people will find a way to be like, oh, it's not like the Fable I wanted. I want it like this. How did they not make the exact same thing they made in the past? Or whatever, like someone's going to complain about this or that, but like, man, you just fucking know this game's going to have some kind of Starfield stink around it or something, because they're going to be like, oh, Xbox, it's not Boulder's game. But, we don't need to let that be the thing that gets in the way of our enjoyment of it. No, of course, if the game comes out and it's somehow a turd, yeah, fuck it. Maybe it's a turd. I don't know. But I'm expecting that this game's probably going to be, at the very least, a pretty good game. Avowed was a game that was a disappointment to me in some ways. I was expecting it to be like my game of the year last year. I thought it was going to be my next 10 out of 10. I love this game kind of game. It wasn't. It was a solid 7 out of 10, and I enjoyed my time with it. It was pretty good. But I wasn't blown away by it, and I was a little underwhelmed by it. However, of course, the internet's reaction to it was like, this game kind of sucks ass. It's like, all right, guys. Always so dramatic. Always overreacting about something, you internet you. Anyway, Cargo Runner writes in about it and says, for an RPG, I like the deep dive to tease the story and show some interesting characters you are going to meet. Avowed and Starfield kept showing off combat and kept hiding story and characters because they were not very good. For Fable, the deep dive was a good overview. It does look world class, but I need to know what the story and the characters are interesting. I need to know what the story and characters are interesting to be really excited for it. We had 1,000 boring random planets in Starfield. Do we only have 1,000 boring random characters in Fable? Well, I am sure we'll see much more Fable, but I mean, like, how much more do you want to see? Like, maybe, I don't know, maybe they do, at the end of the Xbox Summer Showcase, they'll do that, like, 30-minute, like, immediate following direct thing. So maybe after the Summer Showcase, they go into a really in-depth Fable direct thing. I don't know, maybe. But it's like, I don't know, how much more do you got to see? I feel like, I guess it's hard for me to relate to this because while everything you're saying is incredibly valid and totally fair, I'm the kind of person where it's like, I saw a 2-minute trailer for the Fable game. I'm good. I get it. You told me I can buy all the houses. You told me I can marry multiple people. You told me I can have tenants move into my buildings and then kick them out. You told me it's like a morality system where it's like you make a decision. Some people consider you a good guy. Some people consider a bad guy. Cool. You told me it's an open world game. There's exploration, RPG mechanics, and all the rest. I saw the 2 minutes of gameplay showing off some of these features. I was impressed. I'm good. I could see not another second of Fable, and I'm still a day one sold $70, take my money kind of guy. But I understand a lot of people, generally speaking, with most games, they want a lot of extensive, in-depth look. They want to really know, hey, this feature sounds good. Show me more of that feature. Hey, that feature sounds interesting, or I don't know how that will plan out. Show me that. Let me get a sense for that. And I respect it. I think it's totally valid. It's why people watch extensive reviews and watch people play games on Twitch and watch all these kinds of things before making purchasing decisions, because it's a lot of money to part with $70. And so you want to make sure that you're investing it in a product that's going to thoroughly entertain you and please you for hours to come. I get it. But for me, I'm like, I don't know, man. They said that that's what it's going to be. I'll take them at their word and try the game out. Worst case scenario, it's a cool game that doesn't really meet its full potential, but attempts to do something, and I'll appreciate it for what it is. I don't know. Maybe that's just because I have low standards for games. Who knows? 360 Bro YouTube writes in and says, Fable looks like the game Xbox needed 4 years ago as a platform exclusive. For multi-platform release, now a decade in the making, it whelms. I don't think it will be able to cut through the baggage of platform context and franchise history. I'm not seeing its X factor. I think this is also a really fair point. I think, well, in some sense, I don't think Fable is super late. I think if Fable came out a few years ago, it would have been better for them. But coming out now isn't necessarily a bad thing. What makes it a tough sell now isn't that the game is less compelling looking. It's that the Xbox brand is just so much more beat up and tarnished. And maybe that's what you're getting at here. I don't know. But yeah, I agree. Having it be just another multi-platform game like a Ubisoft or an EA kind of game, it's kind of underwhelming. There is a special little pizzazz about something being a console exclusive. I mean, if God of War was a game made by EA Games that was available on Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox, it would be just a little less enticing than it is being this bespoke Sony-only game that it is. And so I get it. And I think Fable would speak and sing a little more loudly in terms of the conversation, the gamer circles, if it was this big Xbox exclusive. But obviously being available on more platforms means the game will literally have more of a platform, more of an opportunity to reach more players. And so I think that it becomes kind of like a conversation versus market reality thing. So that part's kind of like really this is the better move for trying to get more people's attention and build a bigger market. However, I do agree that there's no way this game cuts through, and this is kind of what Dead Captain James was talking about. There's no way this game cuts through the baggage, as you say perfectly, baggage of platform context and franchise history. No way. People hated Fable 3. People kind of fell out of love with Peter Molyneux and with Lionhead Studios after Fable 2. And And people hate Xbox. This game is going to be a punching bag for a lot of people for no reason. The game can be phenomenal. They'll find a way to hate it. It's what people do. They hate Xbox. So I agree. I think it's an awesome looking game. It sounds great. But let's not kid ourselves. This game is, I think it has the potential to be, and looks like it could be, a water cooler type game, but it won't be, because it'll be Grand Theft Auto and something else this year. But it probably won't be an Xbox game. But doesn't mean that the game doesn't look great. Doesn't mean that we can't be excited as Xbox fans, as Fable fans, as fans of these Western RPG games that we keep getting from the Xbox brand that are mostly pretty great. Anyway, let's talk about Ubisoft a little bit. Cronky writes in and says, I want to make a prediction real quick. Now that Ubisoft is spinning off its big IP into a subsidiary, the next Assassin's Creed game will be a from the ground up remake of the original. It's a lazy cop-out that studios do when they need a reset. Halo and Gears is close enough. I'm looking at you guys. Fair enough. I don't think that's where they're going next with Assassin's Creed, but I would not be shocked at all if they did do that. I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. That seems about it. I feel like the game they did a few years ago, I forget what it was called. It was like 2 years ago. It was that Assassin's Creed game they did that was like classic Assassin's Creed. That's kind of what that was, because they went back to like the fucking Middle East, jumping into hay barrels, Ezio bullshit. I forget what was it called? Mirage? Assassin's Creed Mirage? Is that right? That was a kind of tonal and genre return to form for Assassin's Creed, and then they went right back into Shadows. So I don't know, but man, I hate your prediction, because it's I can see it happen. And our final comment of the week comes from Mr. Objects in Space, which I'm assuming is a Mr. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's a Mrs. I don't fucking know. Man, I'm so annoyed at Ubisoft. They were up there with one of my favorite devs back in the day. They're a publisher, but I know what you mean. Mismanagement has led them into a ditch. Their share price has fallen 95% since 2020. With all the IP they have, they should be a behemoth of the industry. Instead, they struggle to get some games out the door with 20,000 plus employees, all of which I'm sure are very talented. Absolutely shameful management from the top. Yes, Ubisoft has clearly been mismanaged, and it's unfortunate, Objects in Space. But I think the thing is, Ubisoft is victim of the same things that everyone's victim of right now, which is that they're chasing that games as a service model. And one thing that Ubisoft maybe doesn't get enough credit for is they were kind of early to that, because Rainbow Six Siege is there. People won't stop fucking playing it and spending money on it, games as a service type game. And so they got a taste of that crack really even before Fortnite was Fortnite. And so I think they've been very keen on chasing it, because they know there's so much money to be made. There's so much success to be had in that space. And what's unfortunate about it is, if you go back to when Rainbow Six Siege came out about a decade or so ago, it's like Far Cry was in a good place. Assassin's Creed was in a good place. People thought we'd get more Splinter Cell. The Division was this up and coming new game. So it was like an exciting time. Ubisoft was on a high note. Those Ghost Recon games around that time, Wildlands and stuff, they were doing well. So it was a good time for Ubisoft. But I think, unfortunately, this is just the reoccurring corporate greed thing again and again and again, where it's like they have to go after the money, because the potential earnings of a game like The Division is just not as alluring as what they have accomplished with games like Rainbow Six Siege. And so they keep chasing it, and then we get dud after dud after dud. And then on top of that, when you get games that aren't kind of chasing that tail, like Assassin's Creed, it's just the next Assassin's Creed, and then they make weird, questionable choices with Assassin's Creed that rub certain people the wrong way and things like that. So it does seem like, obviously, if Ubisoft just wanted to continue to make expensive, high-profile, AAA, multi-platform games for everyone to enjoy like they were doing 10, 15 years ago, they could do that. It would be the same problem everyone's dealing with, where game development cost keeps ballooning and the return on investment keeps shrinking as games just become so expensive to make. But they keep the mind share and the attention, fanfare that they used to have, and then maintain some level of success doing that. However, if they go the route they did go, they end up destroying all the fanfare and support, because nobody wants XDefiant. Nobody wants, what was that Hyperscape Battle Royale they made a while ago? Nobody wants any of that shit. But if one of those games happens to hit, it'll be worth all the negative press. It'll be worth all the failed projects it took to get there, because one Fortnite is worth a whole lot more than all the Assassin's Creed and Far Cry's put together. And that's the unfortunate reality. But yeah, it is a shame because I also like Ubisoft. I feel like Ubisoft gets a real rough rap, but I'm a Ubisoft fan. I think generally they have a stable of great teams and they make great games. And I don't play everything. I'm not into all the Ubisoft franchises. I think famously Assassin's Creed is just not a game I care about, but I really do like Ubisoft. I love Far Cry. And then there are various games from other franchises they have that I've enjoyed on and off throughout the years. So I'm wishing them the best. I hope they're able to make this work. I hate that they're in bed with Tencent, but I'm hoping there's a path forward for Ubisoft where they find their success and that this ends up being a thing where we look back and go, those were the dark days of Ubisoft, but we have turned a corner. For them to be in a permanent downward spiral until this inevitably, ends for them would be really, really heartbreaking and disappointing, especially in a world where the games industry is just merging and consolidating more and more every day. And we need more variety. We need the Ubisofts of the world to survive in order for there to be some form of variety and competition in the market. So I'm with you, man. I love Ubisoft. I'm rooting for them. And I hope they have, a rocky moment. I hope they're able to turn a corner and do something different here. But anyway, that's going to do it for all of our comments, you guys. Thank you all so much, as always, for listening. Quick podcast. Didn't expect it to go by that fast. I guess, I don't know, it's kind of succinct with what all we had to talk about. But there it is. Kirby, Sfogliatelle, Fable, Ubisoft, Xbox. You know what to do. Guys, have a great week. Be safe, be good. Pet your kitties, kiss your kitties, dogs, walk your dogs. Don't let your dogs sit in the backyard barking all day. It's so annoying for me. But walk your dogs. Until next week, power your dreams and manage your streams. Don't let your pee just fly off in any direction. Make sure you aim for the toilet bowl.